What if the person you least expect is the one holding all the cards? Have you ever paused mid-sip of sweet tea to wonder what secrets hide behind a kindly smile? Picture a small village in America's heartland, a place where the church bell still rings to call neighbors together and the scent of apple pie drifts from every open window on Sunday afternoons. You might recognize it, a cluster of wooden storefronts, a diner where the coffee is strong and the conversation stronger, and faces lined with years of laughter, hard work, and shared history. Before we dive into the story, tell us, what city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love hearing from our global family. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep this storytelling journey alive. Your support truly keeps us going. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Now, imagine a woman strolling down Main Street in worn denim and a straw hat, carrying a modest wicker basket. She's not waving a designer purse or stepping out of a shiny car. Instead, she greets everyone by name. She humbly shifts a picnic blanket here, offers a helping hand there, yet something about her draws your curiosity. What if I told you she's not what she seems? The church picnic is in full swing. Can you hear the gentle clink of mason jars being passed around? The gospel choir's harmonies drift faintly from inside. Beneath the canopy of aged oak trees, long wooden tables are heaped with homemade casseroles and pies so golden they could be relics. It's a scene you know well. Maybe you've sat at one of these tables, swapping stories with old friends and neighbors. Today, however, there's a newcomer. A woman with soft silver streaks in her black hair, moving gracefully through the crowd. The line forms quickly, but she doesn't push in. She waits patiently, offering a nod and a warm smile to each person who passes. Is she here because she belongs? Or is she hiding something far greater than this little picnic? She reaches the serving table and offers to fill iced tea pitchers. Her hands move with practiced ease but are uncalloused, an indication she's more accustomed to a boardroom than a garden. Still, she doesn't announce herself. No name badge, no fancy invitation, just a small-town woman in humble attire, blending in as if she's always been part of the tapestry. You catch an older lady wink at her as if they share a silent secret. Did they meet before? Or is that knowing look a subtle hint to you, the observer, that there's more beneath the surface? As the afternoon sun drapes long shadows across the lawn, hushed whispers begin to swirl. Where did she come from? She's too polite for someone without ties to this place. I heard she moved here last month, but why? Those questions hang in the air like dust motes in a beam of light, visible, curious, and slightly uneasy. You find yourself leaning in, wanting to know the answer, but halfway recoiling at the thought of prying too deeply. After all, what business is it of yours? Just across the picnic site stands the general store, its bell jingling whenever someone steps through the door. Inside, an older man named Wayne Tully, known for his love of gossip, fixes his gaze on our stranger. With a raised eyebrow, he tosses a question at her, loud enough for everyone waiting in line to hear. Of all places to land, why choose a village that barely registers on the map? The woman pauses, setting down a pitcher of lemonade that could cool even the most heated debate. She brushes a stray lock of hair behind her ear and replies, in a voice as calm as a still lake at dawn, I wanted to know what it's like to be part of something real. It's a simple answer, but the camera of your mind zooms in on the subtle tension in her smile. Is that genuine humility, or a carefully crafted disguise? At that precise moment, the scene shifts, almost as if someone gently presses play on a memory of a different life. In muted black and white frames, you glimpse a younger version of this woman, tailored suits, skyscraper views, and the roll of a gavel in a boardroom. Faces of suited executives, their expressions a blend of admiration and deference, fill the screen. She signs documents that might as well be deeds to entire corporations. Headlines flash. Prescott Enterprises, a legacy of power, self-made billionaire defies odds. But then, just as quickly, the vision dissolves back to the vibrant colors of the picnic, leaving you breathless and uncertain where reality ends and ruse begins. Is she the genuine newcomer seeking a simpler life, or a titan of industry testing the hearts of humble townsfolk? You feel the tug of curiosity, that irresistible urge to keep watching and find out. As the montage fades, the general store's screen door swings open once more. Our stranger, let's call her Maggie, for now, emerges with a small stack of postcards. She slips them into the hands of eager children who beam up at her, thinking only of free treats or a friendly new face. Meanwhile, Wayne Tully squints, suspicion etched into every wrinkle of his face. Mark my words, he mutters to anyone within earshot, there's more to that woman than meets the eye. And what do you think? Is she a benevolent soul seeking genuine connections? Or is she here to watch and evaluate this town, ready to reveal her true power at the moment of her choosing? Stay tuned, because when the next church bell rings, and the laughter of neighbors fills the air, you might just discover that this quiet village and its unsuspecting hearts are about to learn a lesson they never saw coming. Have you ever wondered how a simple act of kindness can ripple through an entire community? As the sun dips lower on Main Street, the village carries on, unaware that the woman they've labeled Town Nobody is quietly threading herself into the fabric of their lives. Notice the way Maggie glides between clusters of neighbors at the diner the next morning. Can you smell the fresh coffee and warm biscuits? She's not here to draw attention, yet you sense there's something magnetic about her presence. Watch as she lifts an elderly man's cane for a moment, gently propping his seat, as though she already knows 100 ways to serve. Does that seem odd for someone with nowhere else to be? Across the counter, the barista, young enough to be her grandchild, leans in and quietly says, "Thank you for buying breakfast for Mrs. Green." But here's the twist, Mrs. Green isn't even in the diner yet. Maggie simply told the barista she'd like to cover her meal. What do you make of that impulse? Generosity, for sure, but is it born of genuine empathy, or something more calculated? The question hovers in the air like steam rising from a mug. Meanwhile, Wayne Tully watches from his usual corner booth, fists clenched on the Formica tabletop. Can you feel his wheels turning? He recalls the peculiar way Maggie's eyes lit up when she saw that dusty first edition in the library. Does that mean she's a philanthropist seeking quiet philanthropy, or a corporate magnate relishing the innocuous thrill of trickery? Have you ever witnessed a town meeting where everyone thought they were debating the future of a simple wind turbine, only to discover the real winds of change were already blowing beneath the surface? At tonight's gathering in the town hall, Maggie arrives carrying a stack of blueprints. The mayor, a kindly woman named Doris, you might remember her from the picnic, hair neatly coiffed, hands clasped politely, nods for her to speak. But do you notice Maggie doesn't announce herself as Margaret Prescott, CEO? No, she simply smiles and places a hand on the plans, allowing the work to speak for itself. As she speaks, the room leans in. Can you feel the gentle hush that falls over the chairs scraping the floor? She points out details, optimal turbine blade angles, projected energy yields, even how the village could divert savings into senior center programs. The elders' jaws drop, a testament to her knowledge. Yet, when someone challenges her credentials, she keeps her answer broad. I've spent my life working on green energy initiatives. That vague phrase should ring alarm bells. Are those real credentials, or a well-crafted facade? Step back and look at the faces around you. Some are nodding thoughtfully, others exchange skeptical glances. Isn't it fascinating how a boardroom veteran can slip into a community debate as though she's a seasoned volunteer? Does that ring true for someone with nothing but simple intentions? After the meeting, Maggie slips away to the library again. Have you ever seen a woman pore over dusty volumes with the same intensity a surgeon reserves for a delicate procedure? She's flipping through town records, public domain, easily accessible. But what catches her eye isn't the dusty ledger of crop yields, it's a photocopy of a local land deed, oddly annotated in pencil. Have you guessed yet that Wayne's investigation has shifted from benign curiosity to targeted snooping? He watches Maggie through the cracked door, convinced he's about to expose her. Yet Maggie, ever attentive, senses someone watching. Instead of confronting Wayne head-on, she gently replaces the photocopy and arranges a stack of Vermont author biographies. See how she redirects his gaze? Is that polite avoidance, or a subtle power play? You decide. By dusk, word gets around. Maggie has volunteered to help Mrs. Thompson with her garden, no fee, no fanfare, just helping. But did you know Mrs. Thompson is one of the few in town whose grandchild is attending a prestigious university? The funds for tuition? They just came in an unmarked envelope with Maggie's handwriting. Have you ever questioned the motives behind an anonymous donation? Benevolent benefactor, or someone testing the town's gratitude? While you ponder that, Wayne, determined to reveal the truth, decides to dig into public databases. Watch as he pulls up a grainy photograph of Maggie at a company gala from years ago. Can you see her in the center, gloved hands holding a champagne flute, arms raised in applause as she receives a Corporate Leader of the Year award? That image flickers on his screen like a warning. Here's the crux. Wayne believes he's peeling back layers of deceit, but could he be revealing a story of transformation instead? Meanwhile, the thermostat dips as evening sets in. On Lower Main Street, Maggie stands alone by the fountain, tossing a stray pebble into the water. The ripples spread further than you expect, just as her influence will. Do you feel the tension as she checks her watch, hesitates, then dials a number on her cell? The concession speech she delivers, "I'll be back soon, but for now, they need me here," suggests someone with larger commitments. Again, philanthropic savior, or CEO juggling multiple empires. Suddenly, the church bell tolls in the distance, a familiar rhythm that draws Maggie's gaze. Look at the nostalgia in her eyes. Could it be homesickness? Responsibility pulling her elsewhere? Or is she savoring the final hours before she does what a few in the village have whispered all along, reveals who she truly is? Before she can slip away, Mrs. Ethel, remember that wise grandmother figure, approaches with a warm casserole and a knowing smile. "You're doing good, dear," she murmurs. Maggie only nods, handing over a small card, a thank you for the town's hospitality. Ethel peers at it but sees nothing but a beautiful script, Margaret Prescott. Does that name ring a bell? For some, yes, for most, no. The mystery thickens. Is she intentionally keeping a low profile, or is Maggie testing their capacity for trust? As we progress, look again at Wayne Tully's face, lined, weathered, determined. He believes the next step is to gather tangible proof and lay it bare at tomorrow's town breakfast. But what happens when the villagers learn that the woman they thought was nobody is the very architect of decisions they might have once mocked? So I ask you, do you think this village can embrace a hidden titan among them? Or will they recoil at the revelation and retreat behind their skepticism? I invite you to carry that question with you, because in just a few short hours, the tides of perception will shift in a way no one expects. And if you're listening closely, you might even hear the soft click of Maggie's office door closing in another part of the world, a reminder that her life is anything but ordinary. Pause for a moment. How would you react if you, too, read that? Would a thrill of curiosity rush through you, or would your pulse quicken with suspicion? I invite you to picture the villagers now, gathering around that board first thing, coffee cups in hand, hair still tousled from sleep, eyes widening as the morning light reveals the truth Wayne has been aching to expose. Wayne Tully, up before roosters crow, pins those flyers himself. Can you see him there, hawk-like in his determination, every wrinkle on his face taut with anticipation? He stands back, arms crossed, surveying the small crowd already murmuring. A few eyebrows shoot up, some shake their heads in disbelief. But did you notice, hiding in the periphery, a sense of vindication shimmering in Wayne's eyes, like a man who's finally holding a winning hand? Meanwhile, the diner's neon sign flickers on, and the aroma of fresh pancakes drifts through the air. Mrs. Green shuffles in, glasses tucked into her pocket, only to stop dead when she sees the flyers. "Margaret Prescott," she whispers. Her trembling fingers reach up to adjust her spectacles as she leans closer. Can you imagine that moment of dawning comprehension, when the familiar face of Maggie, our helper, transforms into that of a corporate titan? Now, shift your focus to the table where Mr. Daniels sits, his newspaper spread before him. He glances at the headline, then at the woman entering the diner, nothing but a simple straw hat perched atop her head, carrying a wicker basket. Do you catch the moment his eyes narrow, recognition dawning like a sunrise? He folds the paper slowly, lays a gentle hand on the booth beside him, and motions for Maggie to sit. But does she comply as though nothing's changed, or does something flicker in her gaze, a hint that she's aware of what is making its way through the town. As Maggie approaches, you might notice her posture, steady, unhurried, yet tinged with an unspoken gravity. Can you feel her breath catch when she notices Wayne at the counter, arms folded as if daring her to make the first move? She doesn't falter. Instead, she nods at Mr. Daniels, lifting one corner of her lips in a small, knowing smile. Do you think that smile reveals confidence, or perhaps a silent apology for what the townspeople are about to endure? Let's take a breath and feel the tension in the room. The clink of coffee spoons against porcelain seems unusually loud, doesn't it? Old wooden floorboards creak under the weight of apprehension as more villagers trickle in, each drawn by the allure of scandal. Can you hear their hushed questions? Is it true? How could she hide this? Should we even trust her now? Suddenly, the bell above the diner's door jingles again. Maggie settles into the booth beside Mr. Daniels, places her basket on the table, and without missing a beat, slides a fresh pot of coffee toward him. It's an act so ordinary, so gracious, you might think she's unaware of the whispered gasps. Yet I ask you, do you believe someone capable of orchestrating global projects could make such a faux pas? Or is that everyday courtesy precisely how she soothes a rattled crowd? As coffee percolates, Wayne strides over, elbowing past a few wary onlookers. His voice rings out, "Maggie Prescott, right?" He holds up a flyer. Can you see how his words hang heavy, like a challenge thrown down? She sets her mug gently on the Formica tabletop, turns her head just enough to meet his gaze, and says, calmly, "Yes, that's me." Notice the pause that follows. In that pregnant moment, did the room's collective breath seem to hang in midair? Some villagers grip their chairs, others lower their heads, and a few exchange glances as though weighing their loyalties. Do you think they feel betrayed? Or perhaps intrigued? Then Maggie continues, voice soft but unwavering, "I understand this must be shocking. You trusted me as one of your own. I came here to find a place to belong, not to deceive." Her words don't defend themselves with corporate jargon or veiled boasts, they simply acknowledge the hurt. Can you sense the ripples spreading through the diner, as though her honesty is a pebble dropped in still water? Wayne scoffs, the sound cutting through the moment. "You call this belonging? You were puppeteering us all along." He tosses the flyer onto the table, where it flutters, landing between Maggie and Mr. Daniels. But Maggie doesn't lash out. Instead, she leans forward and draws the flyer to her side, folding it carefully. Observe how her fingers trace the crease almost tenderly, perhaps a sign that she's reclaimed control of the narrative. I want you to think, when someone's entire identity shifts before you, what do you choose to believe, the person you met, the image on the page, or the truth that lies somewhere in between? Maggie's next words could tip the scales. She looks around the room, taking in faces etched with curiosity, hurt, and anticipation. With a gentle clearing of her throat, she asks, "Before we decide what this means, may I share why I've been here?" Can you feel the collective lean in? Not a single spoon stirs in any cup. Maggie lifts her gaze, and in that instant, you might glimpse the same poise that once commanded boardrooms. But now, it's tempered by vulnerability. Do you notice how that transformation catches you off guard, reminding you that even the strongest steel can gleam with human warmth? She begins, "When my husband passed, I realized that wealth was nothing without genuine connection. I came here to learn what it meant to give, to receive, and to belong. I've watched your struggles, shared your laughter, and tried to help where I could, quietly, without announcing my name." Each word seems to settle like a benediction in the room. Does it soothe you? Or does it deepen your skepticism? Yet before the villagers can respond, Wayne interrupts again. "You say it's about belonging, but belonging doesn't require hidden identities." His tone is accusatory, but I urge you to notice how Maggie's spine remains straight, her voice remains steady. She looks him in the eye and replies, "I didn't hide to deceive you, but to experience life here on its own terms. If I told you I was the CEO of a major corporation from day one, you might never have given me a chance." At that remark, a murmur ripples through the diner, like the first stirrings of a storm. Some villagers nod slowly, remembering a time they too felt judged by appearances. Others stare at her, uncertain if they've been manipulated or guided toward a lesson they didn't realize they needed. Do you recognize that tension? It's the moment before a community redefines itself, where forgiveness and doubt wrestle in equal measure. Maggie rises from the booth, placing a single bill on the table, enough to cover the entire town's breakfast. "Please," she says, "let me treat you one last time as Maggie, not as Margaret Prescott." As she steps toward the door, the room holds its breath. Wayne's gaze flits between the payment and her retreating silhouette, his expression unreadable. Can you sense the choice he's wrestling with? Is he content to let her go, or determined to prolong the confrontation? And you, dear listener, what would you do next? Would you stand and offer a gesture of forgiveness, or would you demand more proof before accepting the truth? Because if you lean in just a little closer, you'll hear the soft click of the diner's door swinging shut behind Maggie, a sound that echoes the closing of one chapter and the start of another. Morning light filters through the windows of the town hall as neighbors gather, some clutching flyers, others exchanging heated whispers. Can you feel that tension, as though the air itself has grown heavier since Maggie's revelation at the diner? Look around, there's Mrs. Green, wiping tears with her apron's hem, as if grieving the loss of someone she thought she knew. And there's Mr. Daniels, arms folded, brow furrowed, the very picture of indecision, torn between admiration for Maggie's candor and resentment at being deceived. Do you sense his struggle? Recall how he once praised her homemade biscuits and now questions whether they were ever about kindness at all. Wayne Tully stands at the back, a smirk playing on his lips as he addresses a small cluster of villagers. Can you hear his voice, low and triumphant? "She played us all for fools," he declares. "You think she cared about the wind turbines? No, she cared about control." He leans forward, voice dropping to a whisper. "I say we show her she can't hide behind that invitation to belong." Notice how his words spread like wildfire. Some villagers nod, haunted by the notion that they've been manipulated. But do you see that flicker in Mrs. Ethel's eyes? She steps away from the group hatched by Wayne, taking a slow breath as she approaches the dais. "Is it manipulation," she asks, "to give when you have more to give than any of us?" Her voice is soft, but it draws attention like sunbeams through parted clouds. How does it make you feel, drawn toward her insistence on seeing intent rather than outcome? Take a closer look at the town hall's long wooden benches. Can you sense the crackle of uncertainty as the villagers shuffle to accommodate new arrivals, some stiff with anger, others hopeful for understanding? Now, watch as Mayor Doris stands and gently taps the gavel. "Order, please." Her voice, though frail, cuts through the rising tension. "We are here because Maggie asked us to hear her story. Let us consider her words before casting her aside." Do you feel that subtle shift? It's as if the very floor beneath them breathes relief. Mrs. Ethel's nods ripple through the room until Mr. Daniels finally exhales and leans forward. "I want to understand," he says. "Not simply because I baked those pies for her, but because sometimes the hardest truths to hear are the ones that set us free. Do you recall times when you felt torn between anger and empathy?" Across the aisle, Wayne's jaw tightens. He's prepared to challenge every word Maggie might speak, yet something in the room's collective hush gives him pause. Have you noticed how courage can arise from the weakest of voices? Remember that, because here comes Maggie. She steps into the doorway, dressed more informally than yesterday, no straw hat, but a soft cardigan draped over a simple blouse. Can you sense the weight she carries in her posture? It's not just the scrutiny of hundreds of eyes. It's the understanding that her next words must bridge two worlds. She pauses, letting her gaze traverse the hall. Do you feel her vulnerability? With a steady breath, she begins, "I know many of you feel betrayed. You trusted me as Maggie, your neighbor, a volunteer, someone you believed to be on your side. And the moment you learned I was Margaret Prescott, a name you recognized from faraway headlines, that trust shattered." Her voice falters slightly on the last phrase. Can you imagine the courage it takes to admit vulnerability in front of those you once deceived? Let me tell you why I didn't speak my name before. She moves closer to the edge of the dais. My husband and I started Prescott Enterprises from nothing. We poured our lives into it. But when he passed, I realized that no amount of boardroom victories or press headlines could fill the void his absence left, nor replace the warmth of simply belonging somewhere. Do you remember feeling that ache, when what you built seems hollow because it lacks heart? Maggie pauses, glancing at the villagers' faces. Some soften, some remain guarded. She continues, I came here to learn that kind of belonging. I wanted to experience life where no one knew my past, where I could earn a place by giving rather than have it handed to me by title. Imagine how that statement lands. Does it feel selfish or selfless to you? Wayne stands abruptly, voice ringing through the hall. But why hide if you truly wanted to belong? You knew we'd never accept you as Prescott, so you manipulated us under the guise of kindness. His question hangs in the air, demanding an answer. Do you feel the tension coil tighter? Maggie nods solemnly. You are right. Her words tumble out, rich with unspoken regret. I knew some of you would never give me a chance if you saw me as a billionaire. I took that risk because I wanted to form genuine bonds. But in doing so, I also chose a path that hurt you when the truth came out. She tilts her head, looking directly at Wayne. I accept full responsibility. If you choose not to forgive me, I will understand. That pin drop silence? It's palpable, isn't it? Now, do you hear the soft sniffles as some villagers stare at their laps, grappling with their own anger and compassion? It's astounding how a single apology can shift an entire room's gravity. Before Wayne can respond, a murmur ripples from the back. It's Mrs. Ethel's voice. Forgiveness isn't easy, dear, she says, but your willingness to stand here and be seen is a start. Another voice emerges, Mr. Daniels, rising to his feet. Maggie helped my granddaughter with her college application anonymously, just last week. That money in Mrs. Thompson's mailbox wasn't a publicity stunt, it was real help for tuition. He glances at her, eyes glistening. Can you feel how that revelation sweeps through the hall like a lighthouse cutting through fog? Villagers exchange stunned looks. Do you sense their own hearts softening? Yet Wayne's expression darkens, he's not ready to let go. He strides forward, placing a finger on Maggie's blueprint for the wind farm. If you cared, why propose that project without telling us where the funding would go? Maggie squares her shoulders. Because even if you'd rejected me as Prescott, I still wanted you to have a voice. You never knew the grants I secured for the Seniors Center came from my foundation. Now, imagine a hush of recognition. Some have felt that infusion of funds supporting the new heating system, others saw their prescription costs drop when the community clinic received subsidies. Francis, the pharmacist, clears his throat. The discount on heart medication last month, that was your doing? I didn't know who to thank. Confusion gives way to gratitude. Do you see how that alters the tide? Wayne's shoulders slump, but he tries one last push. So you admit you've been funding us all along? Maggie's voice is gentle, yes. But I did so quietly because I didn't want your gratitude directed at a name or a title. I wanted you to feel the support without a price tag attached. She watches him, her gaze neither pleading nor condemning, simply honest. Do you feel the room tilt toward her? Suddenly, Mayor Doris, voice wavering but firm, stands. This village has always been about community. Maggie's deeds, whether hidden or revealed, reflect that spirit. She looks around, meeting eyes of old friends and casual acquaintances alike. We must decide not just who Maggie is, but who we are when someone extends a hand, even if that hand belongs to a billionaire. Do you sense how her words invite everyone to inspect their own hearts? Now, take a breath. Notice the moment suspending time. The townspeople shift on their feet, torn between pride in welcoming a new friend and pride wounded by betrayal. A silence stretches, so taut you could hear a pin drop. Then, do you hear Mrs. Green's shaky voice from the back? All I know is when she baked those blueberry muffins for me, I felt seen. That counts for something. One by one, voices rise. She taught my grandson to read last week. The VFW got new chairs for our hall. They came with Maggie's card. My arthritis medicine? Half price. Each statement chips away at the wall of resentment. Can you feel empathy bloom, warming even the coldest corners of doubt? Finally, Wayne's shoulders slump completely. as if all his convictions have run out of steam. He exhales, eyes fixed on the floor, and mutters, "Maybe I judged too quickly." Notice how his words are no longer loud and triumphant but weighted and sincere. Maggie steps forward, extending a hand not just to Wayne, but to every person in that hall. "I ask for your forgiveness," she says, voice soft yet unwavering. "And I promise that if you let me stay, everything I do will be for the good of this village. No secrets, no surprises." Can you feel how the air shifts? It's as though hope and trust have crept back into the room, pushing skepticism aside. Villagers exchange glances, hesitant at first, then nodding in unison. Do you notice how forgiveness can sometimes be the strongest currency of all? Imagine the townspeople filing out into the morning sunlight, murmuring about rebuilding trust, about being part of something larger than themselves. Wayne follows last, catching Maggie's eye at the door. She offers a small, understanding smile. Do you feel the anticipation? The sense that something has changed, for better or worse, in the very heartbeat of this village? And you, dear listener, what would you choose? To let go of doubt and embrace the gift she offers? Or to guard your heart against the possibility that a billionaire could be as genuine as a good neighbor? Because when the church bell rings again, you'll discover whether this community can truly define itself by its capacity for forgiveness, and whether Maggie's wager on belonging was worth the cost. Can you feel the gentle shift in the air as summer's warmth settles over the village? The morning sun spills gold across Main Street, and for the first time since Maggie's revelation, you sense a calm anticipation rather than tension. Have you ever witnessed a community on the cusp of rebirth? Today, you will. Look around at the town hall, chairs now arranged in a circle, not rigid rows, sunlight streaming through the windows as if ushering hope inside. The scent of fresh brewed coffee mingles with the faint aroma of Mrs. Green's cinnamon rolls, offered to everyone, no questions asked. Do you notice how simple gestures can speak volumes? Maggie stands at the center of that circle, sleeves rolled up, hands resting lightly on the back of a chair. Notice how she doesn't wear a tailored suit today, just a soft blouse and jeans. Can you see that she's making herself one of them again, this time without hiding? Her eyes scan the faces, some still cautious, others softly smiling. Do you feel the weight of what's at stake? Today is not about money or status, but about trust, and trust can be fragile. She begins speaking, though you only hear her voice in your mind, calm and earnest. "Thank you for coming. This circle is a symbol of equality." Think about that imagery, no head of the table, no hierarchy, just neighbors, side by side. Can you almost feel the unity it conveys? She continues, "I know rebuilding trust takes more than words. I want to share with you what I've been working on for this village, together." As she steps aside, you notice a large easel propped against the wall. A sketch of a community center rises on the paper, a blend of classic red brick design with modern solar panels atop its peak. Can you imagine the children's laughter echoing inside? The senior programs taking place in sunlit rooms? A place where everyone, from toddlers to retirees, feels at home? She gestures toward the drawing. "This center is not just my project, it's ours. Every brick, every nail, every seed we plant in its garden will be a community effort." Do you feel how those words transform possibility into active invitation? You almost hear eager murmurs. "Can I help with the flower beds? Will there be a library section?" Pause and picture Mr. Daniels leaning forward, a new glint of enthusiasm in his eyes. He nudges Mrs. Ethel, who offers a gentle nod, her faith in Maggie amplified by this shared vision. Can you sense how real collaboration can be so healing? Wayne Tully, seated to the side, appears more relaxed than you've ever seen him. Does his posture, shoulders uncrossed, gaze steady, suggest he's ready to participate rather than oppose? When the chair next to him remains empty, do you wonder if he's contemplating stepping in and joining the circle? Maggie continues, "I've arranged for matching grants to seed the center's programs, after we raise the first $50,000 together. I'll match every dollar you raise, but only after you lead the way. Will you help me build this space?" Do you sense the invitation in her tone, as though she's laying down the final piece of a puzzle and offering you the chance to place it? Now, imagine turning to a neighbor beside you, whose face you might know from the market, the diner, or Sunday church, and hearing them whisper, "I'll volunteer to teach crafts classes," or "Count me in for fundraisers." Can you feel that infectious energy? It's like watching ripples spread across a still pond. Suddenly, Mrs. Ethel rises and steps into the circle. "I'll bake pies for the fundraisers," she declares with a sparkle in her eye. Do you hear the courage in that simple act, offering her time, her joy, knowing it matters? Across from her, the librarian, Mr. Owens, stands. "I'll donate books for the library wing, and I'll host story hours." Do you recognize the power in connecting minds across generations? Wayne finally stands, walking slowly into the empty seat beside Maggie. Can you feel the collective intake of breath as he settles himself? When he speaks, just a quiet, "I'll help coordinate the construction," it feels as if the entire room releases a sigh of relief. Do you understand then that forgiveness isn't a single moment, but a series of actions? As Maggie and Wayne share a nod, the circle feels complete. Notice the unspoken acknowledgement. They are no longer villager and billionaire, but neighbors united in a common purpose. Do you feel how narratives can transform when people choose to rewrite them together? Gaze outward now. Beyond the town hall's open doors, the village awakens. Can you hear the rhythmic hum of lawnmowers, some tending to old porches, others trimming new flower beds? Notice the sign being painted in bold letters, "Prescott Community Center, groundbreaking today." Do you sense how that promise of new beginnings glimmers under the late morning sun? Later, in the village square, you witness Lavender and Bart, two children whose families struggled with tuition, playing under a banner that reads "Children's Storytelling Workshop." Do you see Maggie crouched beside them, reading from a book she once donated? Their eyes shine with wonder, and for a moment, you realize the full circle of giving. When a seed of kindness is planted in secret, it can bloom brighter than anyone ever imagined. By midday, as the first shovels strike the earth at the groundbreaking ceremony, you feel a swell of hope. Can you hear the cheers, young and old intermingled? Notice Maggie's smile as she takes a trowel, kneeling beside Wayne's steady form. Do you feel the final threads of suspicion unravel, weaving into a tapestry of collaboration? In that moment, remember, community isn't built overnight, nor is it defined by a single unfortunate choice or grand secret. It's made from many small acts, anonymous breakfasts, surprise grants, shared labor, and the courage to forgive. Can you see, now, the blueprint of a village healing itself? As we draw to a close of the story, picture Maggie standing at the edge of the new foundation, gazing down at the first bricks laid. She turns to address the crowd, though you only hear her voice in spirit. "This is our home, yours and mine. Let's build it together." Behind her, villagers huddle close, laughter and conversation rising like a chorus of possibility. Take a final breath and feel the warmth of unity. Can you sense that as this village moves forward, stronger, wiser, more compassionate? It's not just Maggie who found belonging, but every single person who chose to believe in the power of community. As you step away from this story, ask yourself, what secret kindness could you offer today? Because the greatest transformations often begin with the simplest questions. Will you help me? Will you believe in me? And will you stand beside me, shovel in hand, ready to build something lasting? If this story of unexpected friendship and quiet heroism moved you, there's so much more waiting just a click away. Join us on Daily Stories, where every day brings a new journey, a fresh voice, and the chance to remember why stories matter. Hit subscribe now, tap the notification bell, and become part of our growing family of listeners who believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change the world. Will you be there tomorrow when the next story begins? We'd love for you to take your seat.